Hey, everybody, welcome back to another great episode of The Gentlemanly Things. In today's discussion, I'm really excited to get off of things and a little bit more into what's behind the things. As I've now come upon my 10th episode with you, the finer things really are signals of success, right? If we can afford to partake in these things, then we've reached a certain level of financial freedom and financial success. And also we've educated ourselves on why the price tag on some of these things really becomes worth it. To really appreciate the things, I think we need to understand the path of how we get to those things. I think we need to explore a little bit of that path and how we live as gentlemen and the path that we take to be able to afford the things that we are going to talk about. I was recently at the Entrepreneurs Organization East Coast Regional Conference. So we had entrepreneurs, about 500 or so entrepreneurs, all meet up in Atlantic City. It was hosted by the New Jersey chapter, and they did a phenomenal job hosting. The educational sessions were great, and I've brought back a lot of great ideas for my team, but also a few ideas that I think we'll get into our discussion today. When I first had the concept and the idea of the concept of this show, it was really exactly what the title is. It was about things, right? And the tagline of the show, it's not a show about how to be a gentleman, but the art of living like one, originally came around because I don't want this to be a guide of the things that gentlemen do or the things you do that make you a gentleman. But I do think we can look at the art of living like a gentleman and get a little bit deeper than the things. So one of the themes that I have started to see emerge out of all of the initial episodes so far is this theme of intention. And I think if we were to make core values for this show, the core values I talked about in the second or third episode really sort of reflect the core values of Henry Davidson as a business. That obviously is a reflection of me as the owner. But if we were to bring one to the show, I am starting to see this theme of intentionality, right? How are we intentional with our time? How are we intentional about the way we do things? And the intentionality of what makes an ordinary thing a gentlemanly thing, or makes that transition into a gentlemanly thing. So yes, I want to keep exploring things. I want to learn more about cigars and cars and luxury travel and experiences around the world. And we've already brought you some insight into cigars with Alex Weghorn and a little bit into Dorme cloth. This is actually a cloth by Dorme, and behind the scenes of some of the tailoring and image consulting. But today I want to take the focus off of the things, because ultimately the things are the result. Right? It's the end of the game. Maybe not the end, but it's a result. We've gone down a path that's allowed us to indulge in these finer things and to experience these finer things. And the path we've gone down has to have seen a certain level of success, because we need to be able to afford these things. And the path to get there is something I want to examine a little bit more, because we can't truly appreciate the things if we don't understand what it took to get there. I read a quote long time ago, but it's always stuck in my mind. It goes like this. It says that being male is a matter of birth, being a man is a matter of age, and being a gentleman is a matter of choice. You have all chosen to spend some time with me. As always, I thank you for sharing your valuable time and listening and giving feedback on the topics that I'm bringing to you. The idea of choice is such an interesting one. The idea of being human and having the awareness and the ability to think through things and ultimately come to a decision and choice. And our path in life really becomes the sum of the choices we make, right? When we think about that, looking at this path behind the things, right? How do we get to the point of being able to enjoy a fine wine or a fine cigar or a fine whiskey? Well, we have to start somewhere. And where do we start? And how does that influence come into our life? I want to share a little bit about my story and some of the things that have happened to me recently. So first, as we get into it, this jacket I'm wearing today, we've got our little eagle pin up here. Go Birds, right? We've got the green jacket on. And at this point in time of recording this, the Birds are 2-0. Hopefully after this weekend on their way to 3-0 when this episode actually airs next week. So we are excited here in Philadelphia. But when I made this jacket, I had this luxury thought in mind. And one of the fun things I do with my jackets is each one gets a name label. And inside this one, if you can see it, this says champagne wishes and caviar dreams. And if you're familiar with that phrase, you know that phrase comes from the sign off of the old show from the 80s and 90s, The Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, right? And the idea of champagne and caviar being two things together that are some of the most ultimate of the luxury that one might achieve, but also wishes and dreams going with them, that for many it may be a fantasy or it's really a signal of as the show title says, the rich and famous. So as I was making this jacket, the fabric just felt super luxurious and the color was dark and elegant. And I was at a place where I was starting to get into more of the gentlemanly things that we talk about on this show. For me, it felt appropriate to name this jacket after the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous tagline, using champagne wishes and caviar dreams. So just a little fun fact. I'm not going to share a whiskey with you today because I am filming this before noon and I don't want, obviously, to, ruin the rest of my day having any one drink wouldn't ruin the rest of my day, but it doesn't feel appropriate to be indulging in whiskey that early in the day. So instead, today's topic is going to be talking about the name label in the jacket and that thread. And I will start to share the different jackets I wear on the show, what those name labels are, and maybe some of the stories behind them as well. So we'll mix in some stories of whiskey and some creative stories of the jacket name labels as we go. But in the idea and the spirit of gentlemanly things, finer things, the intention behind something, I thought that presenting with this jacket on today was a good fit. So let's get back into the path behind the intentionality. And one of the things I just did recently, I just got to spend some time with a bunch of fellow entrepreneurs organizations. East Coast Regional Conference, which is called NERV, just took place in Atlantic City. We had somewhere around 400 or 500 entrepreneurs, all running successful businesses, some with 2 to 3 employees, others with 200 to 300 employees or more, all gathering to learn together, to share experiences, and to build relationships. And the conference kicked off with David Sinclair, who is a researcher at Harvard, really giving a presentation on the research that they're doing about how to essentially reverse aging. He said actually something very fascinating, that the first person to live that is going to live to 150 years old has actually already been born today. And if you think about things that will get achieved within a lifetime, that's pretty incredible. And he shared his research and all of this. But the key concept that I want to bring to this is that all of these finer things, really, we work so hard to have them. But if we're not around to enjoy them, then what's it all worth, right? And so we need to make sure we're going to be around. And while medicine may be doing that for us in the future, today, it's the decisions and the intention of how you take care of yourself that is going to make that determination of how much longer you can be around. I said earlier, the outcomes are the sum of the choices we make along the path. So when we talk about extending our life, are we making the right choices to be able to make sure we're around down the road? Those choices are related to healthcare. And I was recently thinking, about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with an immune deficiency called common variable immune deficiency, or CVID. It is common because it's about 1 in every 30,000. But for me, it manifests itself in sinus pressure and issues with my sinuses draining, which often lead to sinus infections. And for many years of my life, I was experiencing sinus infection after infection and not knowing what was going on. And so getting diagnosed with this was pretty eye-opening. It was nice to know, okay, now I know what I'm dealing with, but I now have a set of choices to make that can help me along that path or hurt me along that path. Understanding that led to recently now I've been trying acupuncture for a treatment, and for me, jury's still out whether it's working or not, but it has given me some nice time to reflect, because in each of the sessions, once the technician sets all of the needles, she turns the light out and leaves me in the room for about 20 to 30 minutes to just relax and breathe and almost go into a meditative state. And when I was going through this the other day, with my eyes closed, and if you meditate, you'll resonate with this potentially, but sometimes I get visuals, sometimes I get colors, I get a lot of movement in there, but I had a pretty clear visual the other day, and it was the visual of a keystone. And being from Pennsylvania, we know that visual very well. Pennsylvania is known as the Keystone State. For anybody not listening in the United States or who maybe doesn't know that reference, but Pennsylvania was the state that held the original colonies together because it was located in the middle, and that became the nickname of Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania being known as the Keystone State, the Keystone symbol is something that is pretty prevalent for us as Pennsylvanians growing up here. But that's the symbol I saw when I had my eyes closed, and I was thinking about the intentionality, how we spend our time, how we make sure we're around to enjoy those things down the road, and that personal care really is the keystone behind being a gentleman and enjoying the gentlemanly things. So what does that mean? Well, I put the keystone at the middle, but often if you've done any research or been in any seminars about this, you'll see a triangle, and it's balancing 3 components of your health: your physical health, your mental health, and your spiritual health. And so for me, this story of making sure I take care of my physical health because of the condition that I've been diagnosed with is very important. In general, when I talk to clients about their physical health, it's a conversation that we have with almost every client we work with at Henry Davidson, because it's important to understand what their goals are and how their body might be changing based on the clothing we make for them. Without going too deep into this, because this could be a whole nother topic, one of my favorite conversations that I have with clients is understanding their goals, often if there's weight loss involved, and helping kind of coach them through this, because it's a component of both nutrition and exercise, right? It's what we feed into our bodies, as well as the way we move our bodies and the movement that gets blood flowing and oxygen circulating and tensing our muscles. So really putting tension on them to the point where they break down a little bit to build stronger. Everybody always says, oh, well, I want to lose 5 pounds. I want to lose 10 pounds. I have a goal to lose 50 pounds. Whatever the goal is, I feel like most people generally are trying to slim themselves down. And in the world we live in, the fast pace we go, the stress we feel every day, it's not uncommon that we look to food as a comfort. And either we look to it as a comfort, or we're just moving so fast that we don't have the time or the resources in the locale where we are to necessarily find the healthiest things to eat. I think what we put in our bodies is super important. We're feeding our cells. Our cells need the right nutrients to be able to communicate with each other around our body. And because of that, you have to be very intentional with what you want to do, and also making the time to do it. Like I said, a lot of times we don't make that time. We're traveling, we're grabbing food on the go. It's the fast food that's available. It's the quick bite because we have to make it to a meeting, and we haven't prioritized that we need to make the time to find the right food and to sit and eat it at a right pace. To make sure that our body absorbs it the right way. And I'm at fault with that just as much as the next guy. So by me talking about this with you, it's almost bringing this awareness to the surface and a commitment from me to my own body to be better about this. I'm really excited to talk about it. But when we get to that conversation with the client, often the client will say, well, I want to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever. And I ask them, well, what's your plan? What are you doing to get there? And sometimes they have a plan. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they say, well, I was doing great, and then I hit this level. And this is the piece of the conversation I want to dig into is I hit this level, and then I couldn't get any further. And then I got discouraged, and now I'm back up. And what happens is that they pay attention just to one element. And most people just look at the number that's on the scale, and the number that's on the scale starts to go down. They see progress early on, and then all of a sudden they're doing the same things, the same good things, but the number's not changing, and they're getting discouraged. And what they don't realize is that the initial drop was reduction of fat in the body. But now that they're reducing fat, they're probably also building muscle at the same time. And so you're trading off fat for muscle. So the number on the scale doesn't change, but you're actually still changing the composition of your body. And you have to get through that plateau until you can continue to, till the muscle plateaus, and then the fat will continue to burn off and you'll lose more. Look at the notches on the belt. That's a better indicator than the number on the scale. And also remember that muscle does not weigh more than fat, which is a common thing that people say, well, muscle weighs more than fat. No, a pound of muscle and a pound of fat are both a pound. So get it out of your head that muscle weighs more than fat. Muscle is denser than fat. So you could weigh the same and be smaller. So for the same amount of volume that it takes up, yes, muscle would weigh more, but a pound in terms of weight, a pound and a pound are a pound. So that becomes an interesting conversation. Just a fun piece to share if you are in this journey where you're trying to lose that weight and you can resonate with hitting a plateau at the scale, getting discouraged and not getting to the other side of it. Don't focus so much on that. There's a lot of easy tools out there now too that will show you the rest of the biometrics. So if you really want to be intentional about it, find a coach, find a nutritionist or a trainer that has all of the biometrics that can test you so that you can still see that you're making progress in other places while you hit that plateau in terms of the weight. So that's physical health. Just a little bit of an insight. We could probably dig way deeper into physical health, but I today want to just be more about the awareness of this. So I want to jump to the balancing of mental health. And there is so much going on in our society today that it's no wonder that mental health has its presence, I guess, with us. And whether it's anxiety, whether it's ADHD, whether it's depression, whether it's bipolar, a lot of people in our society, certainly have mental health issues. And one of the things that, often is talked about is how it isn't kosher to talk about these things, right? I think we should be able to talk about it. I think seeing a therapist is a great thing. I saw one years ago until she retired. I haven't necessarily engaged with another therapist, but I do miss it. And I would love to always have those conversations and have that introspection on myself and a place to share with somebody that's trained to understand how my brain is really reacting to the stimulus that happens around me on a daily basis. As an entrepreneur, there's stress all over my life. I'm running a business and it's all on my shoulders. I'm responsible for my employees and their families. And I have to make sure that they get their paychecks and they get food on their table. I also have to make sure my clients get the product delivered on time in a quality manner with the experience that we promise them. And I have to make sure my employees are delivering on that experience as well as myself right next to them. So, the stress of an entrepreneur, if you are an entrepreneur, you'll understand it. Diary of a CEO. And that is Steve Bartlett. And his podcasts are just amazing to listen to and to get inside the mind of somebody who has been super successful, has run a much, much larger company than I run. But it's so interesting that with him having hundreds of employees and me having less than 10, we are talking about the same things. And that's another benefit that came out of the Entrepreneurs Organization conference last week. And one of the things I love about being part of that organization going forward, while I have not found a new therapist, I do have outlets like that in my forum and other confidential settings where I can talk to CEOs that are going through the same stress that I'm going through, share experiences with them, learn from them, and then also help them learn from me. So whatever you're feeling, it's okay. There's a lot going on in the world today. And, I would encourage you, talk to somebody, right? If you're feeling things, don't bottle it up. The best thing is to get it out, but find somebody that can have a conversation with you, that will respect you, that you respect them, and you can step back for a minute and consider their views and have them do the same for you so that a conversation can happen. And it's not so dug in on, well, this is my belief, this is my view. That mental health of today is very important. And I think the more we can focus on that for ourselves and surround ourselves with the right people, the better we are, and more on that path of a gentleman will we progress. The last piece of that triangle is spiritual health. And whether you have a religion you believe in, or some other cause, or if you don't have anything you believe in, just feeding that is important. So for me, I always share that my mother was raised Protestant, my father was raised Jewish. Neither of them truly believed in a lot of their religious teachings, and they didn't want to force either one upon their children. They always said, if our children want to get into something religious, they will find it on their own. They'll pick it. They'll make that choice, and they'll pursue it through their teenage or adult lives. Personally, I never found that calling. My older sister did. She actually got bat mitzvahed at the age of 29, and that was a fun thing to see. But she started relating more to the Jewish faith, but does not practice either. And my younger sister, I don't think ever found anything there. But personally, I always share with people that the thing I believe in most, if anything, the thing I believe in most is karma, or the concept similar to karma, that if you put good energy out, you get good energy back. And if you put bad energy out, you get bad energy back. So I do truly believe we are all made up of energy. We have energy pulsing through us. There's energy in the universe. And I think like energies attract like energies. So, through 20 years of building a business, I've had many times where things struggled. And what I would always tell myself through those struggles was just keep doing the right things. You're doing the right things, keep doing the right things, and good things will happen. And lo and behold, within a day or two, something would happen where I'd have a client that came through and all of a sudden was my new biggest client that I'd ever had. Or I'd have 4 or 5 clients that would call me out of the blue and say, "Hey, Brian, I'm ready to, place a new order with you." So, I can't point that to anything other than possibly coincidence, but I don't think my good energy caused that to happen, but I don't think it hurt that happening either. And so it's all in that choice. It's in that awareness of being able to say, I'm going to choose to put out good energy, as opposed to choose to put out bad energy. And ideally, then I choose to see the good energy that comes back instead of, and maybe bad energy came back too, but I chose not to see the bad energy. I chose to see the good energy that came back. So that choice and that awareness is another concept that I wanted to bring around full circle from the conference last week. I was taking another session on next level leadership with Rand Stajan of Stajan Enterprises, and they're a consulting group that helps businesses break through and hit that growth curve and reimagine themselves as they see success and then have to get to the next. One of the points that really stuck out for me out of his session was that when you can have awareness of something, you then have the freedom to choose. So you can't make choice happen if you don't have awareness first. And that's, I thought was pretty powerful, right? And being able to see, being able to be aware, being able to step out of the day to day and kind of take more of that 1,000-foot view, 10,000-foot view, whatever you want to call it, allows you to see more of what's going on. And once you have that awareness, then you can make those choices. And it comes down to making choices about doing the most important things first, not the easiest things first. The choices, here we are back at choice. right? And the sum of the choices we make lead to the person we become or the path that we create. Being able to have that awareness to make those choices really is something that is pretty special. So those are some thoughts that came out of the conference last week. Again, I think it's the intentionality around being here, being present, and being alive to enjoy the finer things that we are achieving, right? And why have them if we're not going to be here to enjoy them? And I think so stepping back today, a little bit more of a serious conversation, but stepping back and stepping out of, exploring a wine or exploring a whiskey and talking more about the path of the gentleman, living the art of a gentleman's lifestyle is important, and really being intentional with how you frame and construct your life around those three pillars of physical health, mental health, and spiritual health, and making sure that you are touching on all three of those, finding time to quiet your mind, finding time to step away and create awareness to be able to make choices to form the path that you're going to go down. Thank you for choosing to spend some time again with me here today. I've got some exciting things coming up for you. We're continuing to work on lining up guests down the road. We do have a guest that will be coming on to record with us in a couple of weeks. He's one of the generational grape growers in Oakville in Napa Valley. Has a lot of knowledge to share, and I'm super excited to bring that conversation to you guys and talk about what his family did and how they've really kind of cemented their cornerstone in the Napa history, as well as the wine that they now make themselves today. So really looking forward to that conversation with Bruce Phillips, and his winery is Vine Hill Ranch, VHR, if you want to go and look at what might be coming down the road in terms of some of the conversations in the future. Anybody else wants to hear some conversations? I'd love to hear feedback from you, suggestions, recommendations, any introductions to you from you in your network that you think would be a great guest and somebody you want to hear more from. I would love to talk to you. So please subscribe, leave some comments, or contact me directly. And we'll get you some great guests, and we'll get back to talking about the things in some coming episodes. Today, like I said, wanted to step back, explore how we get to being a gentleman. If we go back to the quote at the beginning and remember that the quote said, being male is a matter of birth, being a man is a matter of age, being a gentleman is a matter of choice. We've talked about some of those choices in this conversation today, and I hope that it's brought some awareness to you about the choices you're making or the choices that are available to you, and maybe encouraged you to take some time to step back, look at the options, look internally, and make sure that you're making choices that are going to keep you around for your spouse, for your family, and for all of the gentlemanly things that you enjoy on a day-to-day basis. So with that being said, I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Don't forget, subscribe, follow us, and please share. The excitement around the gentlemanly things continues to grow. It is super humbling and exciting to watch the path that my choices have made with this show. And I look forward to the choices we will continue to make as we continue to grow this together and bring you some great content to enjoy that makes you think, but also helps you learn about the finer things that are done with intention. I will see you all next week. Thank you for joining me.